Hello and welcome to Connecticut Sideline Sports. I'm Dominic Konowski, and in exclusive partnership with the New York Sports Show, we bring to you our first ever sit-down in-person interview. Joined here with me is Southern Connecticut State University quarterback Keith Ridley Jr. Keith, happy to have you on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me out here. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, my guy.
Yeah, it's a true honor to have you on. We had you on just after the season started back in 2023, and what a season that was for Southern. You guys had a lot of ups and a lot of downs, but a lot of close games. We'll get into that in a few minutes. But this is a massive achievement for both CT Sideline Sports and the NYSS, our first ever sit-down interview. In over 270 interviews I've done, a lot of them in person, none of them, though, in the New York Sports Show studio. So, true honor, especially since it's with you. You know, I've known you kind of right when the season started last year. You know, that was your first season with Southern Connecticut. Your transition to Division II football after being at Division I. How hard was that transition?
It's always different seeing the levels of football. It was different going from BC to Bryant. It was a little bit different going from Bryant to Southern. I was really excited going to Southern because I knew I would be able to compete for that starting spot. But I took D2 football just as seriously as I took BC football or Bryant football. It's a lot of good football being played here in the NE10. We had a lot of talent. As you see, you know, there's a few players that got opportunities, whether it be with the Canadian Football League or the NFL. The tight end from New Haven got signed to the Carolina Panthers. So it's no joke here in the NE10, and it's going to be a dogfight every single game. So I just knew I had to have that mentality.
Yeah, it really was a dogfight this season with the NE10. And Southern, even though at the end of the season it was a losing record, there were so many close games. It was a 4-6 record. Before those losses were one-score games.
Yeah.
You know, it was extremely close. And, you know, as the quarterback, you know, you're at the helm of the entire offense. How tough is it going out there in those very close, you know, clock management type of games?
It's very difficult. You know, you practice it throughout the week. You know, you practice your 2-minute drill, going down, scoring, and then, you know, ultimately trying to win the game. And, you know, a lot of those just didn't go our way. You know, against Pace, against St. Anselm's, we were able to find victories in those, and very proud of the guys for just, you know, continuing to go out there and battle. But it's obviously hard on the team when you go out there and you give your all and you lose within, you know, the last seconds or within a one-touchdown game. So, you know, coming back into this year, just finding ways to, you know, keep our foot on the pedal throughout the whole game instead of, you know, just coming out alive for, you know, the first quarter, the fourth quarter. So hopefully we have a little bit, you know, a couple games where it's more, you know, spread out in our favor.
Yeah, I feel like we're kind of seeing the transition of Southern because the last several seasons they haven't really been known to be, you know, a fierce competitive team. But I truly do feel like when you came over, it kind of changed the whole environment of the team because they get in a quarterback with Division I experience. You did play several games for Bryant. And not to mention your high school time, you know, you had absolutely amazing seasons in high school, playing for a classical high school.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of football experience. How would you say, you know, going from high school to college football, you know, here we are, you graduated class of 2019 in high school. How would you say your career is now than what you expected it to be, you know, when you graduated high school?
That's a great question. When I was at classical, I didn't play high school football till my junior year. I wasn't the starter. And to be honest, that's a little bit late to start on varsity. And it kind of made me nervous a little bit trying to play at the next level because I've seen all these other guys who started as freshmen or sophomores and have 3-4 years of playing experience before getting to college, and always made me nervous if I was going to be able to play at the next level. And then when, you know, I got that opportunity to play at BC and see everyone around and see how much, you know, hard work and dedication they put into the game of football, I just knew I had to take, you know, my game to another level. So then when I went to Bryant, I just competed as hard as I could and just learned from everybody around me because they all came from different parts of the country. Had different levels of experience when it came to the game of football. So I just tried to be a sponge and just soak that all up. And I think my hard work really paid off when I was able to earn a scholarship my last semester at Bryant. You know, it was always tough not starting at Bryant, and that was really just the missing piece because everything else at Bryant was beautiful, whether it be my friends, classes, coaches. It was a really good, experience for me. But then when I came to Southern, I felt like I was ready for it. I didn't start yet. It was really weird because it felt like my rookie year on the field, but it also felt at the same time that I was a veteran out there. And, I knew I had to be a veteran for my teammates because they were looking up to me all through that spring and through camp. And I'm just excited to have, my feet wet this year and going into next year, just trying to be as explosive as we can on the offensive side and just putting it all together. It kind of felt like we were two different sides of the ball last year. We were offense and we were defense, and now it's time for us to be a team this year and really click on the field.
Yeah, and as we were, trying to set up a date for this interview, you were telling me on how training camp is coming up. So, how is your mentality going into training camp, and like, what are any goals for you that you may have?
Personally, I wanted to be more efficient, so that was starting in the spring. I really focused on my turnovers, finding the guys that were open, and just feeding the ball really quickly and getting the ball out of my hands as fast as I could. There was a few times during the season last year where I would hold on to the ball a little bit longer, try to make something happen, or try to be superhero out there.
Yeah.
But I really have to trust the offense, trust my guys, and get it to the playmakers and let them do the rest of the work. And, sometimes it worked out for me, but other times, it would result in a turnover or something like that. So just being as efficient as I can with the ball, because that's the most important thing at the end of the day is taking care of the ball. As you see, it's hard for a team with the more turnovers to win a game. So, and that's up to me being the quarterback. I have the ball in my hands every single play, so I got to take care of it. So that was a big focus for me during the spring. That's going to carry over to the fall. And then just being 1% better every single day, going out there, practicing our plays and really getting it down pat. And then just, combining as a team. Like I said last year, we were a little bit split between offense and defense. And this year as a captain, really just trying to mesh all the guys together, whether it be simple things like, during training camp, sit with somebody new every single day when you're in the lunchroom, or have a conversation with somebody else while you're out in the field, and just getting comfortable with all the guys, because we're gonna have to depend on one another every single time we're out there on the field. So that I feel like that's my duty as a captain to make sure that everybody's on the same page going into the season.
And that's one of the good and bad things about college football. You have a lot of familiar faces, but then you also have a lot of new faces as well, and they may be guys that you may have never even heard of because of the transfer portal, or just new like freshmen coming in who have a shot at being starters. And when you came into Southern last year, of course, scholarship athlete, never really having that like really big opportunity to be a starter, and that you're coming in to Southern and you could be the starting quarterback, and it's kind of expected for you to be. Would you say that there was a lot of pressure on you last year?
I don't think there's any more pressure on me than I put on myself. I put a lot of pressure on myself throughout the years, whether it be in high school or college, just because I knew with hard work and dedication, I knew the type of athlete and type of person in general I could be, and I try to uphold myself to those standards all the time. So, if somebody puts standards on me, I probably already have those standards beforehand. And, with transfers and freshmen coming in, that's why training camp is so important, because you have, 3-4 weeks before the season to really learn the playbook as fast as you can. And that's the biggest jump from high school to college, is learning that playbook, because you could be the best athlete out there, but if you don't know what you're doing, it's hard for a team to, especially an offense, if one guy doesn't know what they're doing, it's almost impossible to get the right play. So that's the biggest learning curve, and just getting comfortable with these guys, the transfers and the freshmen, and that's really up to the upperclassmen to take them under our wing and show them around and get comfortable with them. It's not really up to the freshmen or transfers, and it's always good when you have a good group of solid older guys in the locker room to help out with that process.
And if it wasn't for your determination at the quarterback position, this may be an entirely different conversation. You may not even be with Southern if your career stayed on that path. When you were with Boston College, they moved you to the tight end position. How hard was that, playing quarterback? You wanted to be a quarterback, and then they changed you to that different offensive position.
Yeah, it was very tough at first, because I wanted to be a quarterback my whole life, but when I came out of high school, I only had 2 offers, and one was to be a walk-on tight end at BC, and the other one was to be a walk-on quarterback at URI. And at that point, it was just a financial decision for me. Going to URI would have cost me thousands and thousands of more dollars than going to BC. In-state tuition, I got a pretty good academic package. So for my family and I, for financial burden reasons, I went to BC, and I was like, let me give it my all and see if I really like the tight end position and see what I can do. And I went there, and I gave it my all at tight end. I really did. But seeing some of the other quarterbacks on the depth chart, I always felt like I could at least be one of those guys in the room at BC. And I know it would kill me if I didn't give myself a real chance to play, quarterback at the college level. So I just trusted myself, and not a lot of people agreed with my decision to transfer from BC. It was, pretty much split 50-50 on how other people felt. But then I went to Bryan. Everybody saw how happy I was, and my mood changed a lot because I was at the position that I loved, and that's what got me into the game of football. So why not continue to chase that? And it's led me here. I've met so many great guys along the way. I'm gonna have lifelong relationships with those guys at Bryan, at BC, at Southern, and I wouldn't change any part of that journey.
Yeah, and as you said in an interview, when you made that transition from Boston College to Bryant, you said that you kind of lost, passion and love for the game because you weren't able to be a quarterback at Boston College. So now here you are, the starting quarterback for Southern. Last season was, as we mentioned, your first full season as a starter. You dominated Division II football. You really did. I mean, when it comes to stat categories, you were, at the top in almost every single category. When it comes to completions per game, you ranked 16th across all of Division II. When it came to passing yards per game, you were top 40. And when it comes to overall quarterback rating, you were up there as well. So how does it feel, seeing all that hard work paid off? I know that there's still another season ahead of you, but just so far, seeing on how far you've come from, them wanting you to walk on as a tight end to now, dominating Division II football.
It was really cool, and it's kind of validation for all that hard work over the years. But like I said, I'm a tough critic on myself, and I think there was a lot of games I could have improved on. And at the end of the day, no one's going to remember my stats. They're just going to remember the team record, and that's what's most important to me, is trying to get as many wins as I can for this program and hopefully bring an NE10 championship. And, this program hasn't gone above 500 in, I believe, 6-7 years. So that's really the main goal. We have 6 home games this year. It's just to make the fans happy and want to come out and watch Southern football, because it's been a little while. So this year for me, like I said, just try to be efficient as I can, give the ball to my to the playmakers out there, let them make plays, and just trust the offense. And they make me look good at the end of the day. They're the ones that run and get me the yards or the touchdowns. So I'm just 1/11th out there and just trying to do my job just like they are.
Yeah, and as you said, there hasn't been a winning season in, a half decade, close to a full decade. How much would it mean to you to give Southern, the first winning season?
It would mean everything to me. But at the end of the day, our goal is more than just a winning season. It's to win the NE10 championship, and we're bringing back a lot of experience. We got some good transfers as well, and I'm really excited for this year. And I think this training camp is really big for us in order to mesh and get all the guys on the right page. But we just want to make others alumni of the organization proud for going out there and giving it our all. And I felt like we did give it our all last year. Like you said, just some games didn't go our way. And, hopefully, with our preparation, we're able to win those games this year instead of last year.
Yeah, and when it comes to the schedule I have in front of me, if we could go down real quick and, did just some few, pre-game notes, even though some of these games, are several months away. You guys open the season against Shepherd. That's a home game, and then AIC. So you have 2 home games to begin the season, as you said, 6 total. That's awesome, having that kind of home field advantage. So what are your thoughts opening the season at home for a 2-game straight?
Yeah, I love it, absolutely. Shepherd is going to be tough, as always. They had the They won against us the past 2 years and having them come down. It was a dogfight last year. It came down to the last second. So, we're expecting that same thing, and they're going to be prepared. And, maybe last year they took us a little bit easily because they blew us out the year before. But we know they're going to be prepared this year, and the coach is going to be on them. So we got to be the same way, and we got to find a way to finish that game as well. And, it'll be a good game. It's a little bit different because it's on a Thursday night. I haven't played a Thursday night game, I don't think, ever. So going into that week of preparation is going to be a little bit different for the days. But then the next week, AIC is going to be exciting as well. And they got us last year as well. We got all the way down to the 1 yard line and couldn't punch it in. So we got some strong feelings about that game. So we're going to be fired up going into that week as well.
Yeah, Southern actually faces AIC twice this season, one at home, one away. How hard is it facing an opponent, multiple times in a regular season matchup? Because the second game's always the hardest, no matter who it is. The second game's always going to be the hardest because you guys seen each other before, the playing styles. But it's also, spread out too. You have it as the second game of the season and then at the last game of the season. So, what's your thought?
That's exactly it. When you play a team twice, going into that second matchup, you've seen all the tricks, all the plays. You have so much film to watch. The only thing that's a little bit different is how spread out the games are. So we play them at the beginning of the season and we play them at the end. For example, with Assumption, we're a totally different team week 2 than we were that last week. So I think it could be a benefit for either team. They have the whole season to get right. But going into that last game, we know it's going to be a dogfight, and you have to, change up a couple of the plays, change up a couple of the signals because they've been watching you all year. And hopefully, with that last game of the season, it means a lot more. Hopefully, we're trying to clinch an N10 championship with that game. So it's exciting for sure. And AIC is not too far away from my hometown either, so it'll be fun playing over there.
And I feel like the biggest game every year during the regular season is Southern against New Haven. You have SCSU versus UNH. That's a long-time rivalry, but that's a rivalry Southern has not won in over 10 years, closing in now, and actually almost 20 years. So even though UNH has really dominated that series, it's still a very, highly watched series, highly anticipated series. The beginning of the game last year, I was on the sideline recording. It was close, and then, right after halftime, UNH kind of blew the game, wide open. What, as the quarterback controlling, I know you can't really control the offense, but what offensively, do you think will be different about this upcoming game later on this in the season compared to last year?
Yeah, I think the first half we came out with a lot of energy, and that's why we were able to be successful. And then the second half, I don't think we stayed true to ourselves. We were trying to do a little bit too much out there, and I think that will be the big difference this year is just staying true within our offense. For me to just read the defenders and make the right plays as much as I can, just be efficient with the ball as well. I had a few turnovers the second half of that game that really put us in a bad position. So going into that week, there'll be a lot of added motivation just because of how long these two teams have been facing each other. We've been on the losing end, like you said, I think 15, 16 years, and that got to change at some point. And why not this year? With this team, I feel really confident in our abilities, and it would be really special, especially at home. But every conference game will be that high level of intensity, and this will just be a little bit added more to that game because of how big this rivalry has been going on.
And I have the privilege to do a UNH training camp, so I'm going to be there in about a week and a half from now recording. And I feel like last year with UNH, it was a big surprise that Dalen Menard won the starting position because seeing it in all the training camp, he was not getting, the first team reps. When did you find out that you were going to be the starting QB for Southern? Was it kind of right off the bat, or was it, a few days or weeks before things?
Yeah, so when I got in there during the spring, I was able to get first team reps and kind of knew by the end of the spring that I was going to be the starter, but that didn't change my mentality at all. I was always a backup my whole college career, so that's how I went out there. And when I was the backup, I always prepped like I was a starter anyways, and I felt like I was going to be ready for the opportunity, and I just had this opportunity at Southern and continued to prepare and really go out there and just show my abilities. And I was blessed to be able to be named the starter by the end of that spring going into fall camp. So it was a really exciting time for me, but I knew I had to earn that spot. It wasn't just given.
Yeah. And when it comes to, if I'm correct, this is going to be your final year of eligibility.
Yeah, my final year. I've been in college for a long time, so wrapping up this year.
So, was it like, your final hurrah in a way? How does it feel that it's gonna be ending?
It's funny that you say that, and I've had a lot of people ask me that, and I don't really know how truly I feel right now because, like I said, I feel young on the field. Like my body feels young because I haven't been starting for a while, but I've been taking classes for a while. So I think I'm excited to be done with the school part of it. But for sure, I'll definitely miss the football side of it, and hopefully, with the great season and with a lot of hard work and preparation, hopefully I get a chance to play at that next level. But if it doesn't happen, I know I gave this sport everything I had at the college level, and like I said, I wouldn't regret a single decision I made. I gave it my all out there.
And speaking about the next level, I know it's early on, but are there any thoughts right now to go and put your name in the 2025 NFL draft?
I mean, yeah, definitely. I'm gonna be preparing and training for all the combine stuff, and hopefully there's an opportunity that arises. But like you said, first things first. My main goal is to just have a good season with this team, and a good season for me is a good record. Whatever the stats may be, however we got to get there is however we got to get there. So stats will come and go, like I said, but the records will stay forever. So I'm excited just to head into the season and pick up where we left off with the 3 wins in a row, and hopefully we get that first win against Shepherd Thursday night.
Yeah. And talking about classes, just for a second, if I'm correct, you're going for sports broadcasting?
Yeah, so sports management, entertainment, which is right in that sports broadcasting section. I've had a passion for sports broadcasting since high school. I was blessed enough junior and senior year to have my own little morning talk show, just to talk about what was happening that day in school, the weather, what happened over the weekend with sports. And ever since then, I just caught fire with that opportunity. I was able to interview people. I love interviews, whether it be talking to someone or answering questions. This summer, I was able to work at iHeartRadio, which is really cool with the Fox Sports side. So I was able to see all the ins and outs behind the scenes of how a radio show goes. I was able to talk on the radio too with Rob Dibble and Ben Darnell. So that was a really cool opportunity for me this summer, and just hoping to continue on with that for the near future.
Yeah, that's really cool. So it's kind of like what I do,
exactly.
Almost. And you being able to do it at college level, get your diploma for that, your degree. I got accepted into college, but it's all financial stuff. Ended up not being able to go to that. So you being able to go and get your degree while also doing what you love in football, that must truly be an amazing thing. And just going back a little bit in the conversation when you had those walk-on opportunities, I feel like the greatest walk-on story is of Brandon Bolesworth. I don't know if you know who that is.
I'm not sure. You're going to have to tell me about that.
Yeah, they made a movie about him. He walked on to Arkansas. He was a lineman, and he was like a zero-star. Yeah, he was like a zero-star recruit. Walked on, ended up getting a scholarship, and he ended up being drafted. And, that movie, I feel like, depicts it absolutely amazing, everything he went through, and the struggle it is to be a walk-on while also going and getting a degree in school. How would you say, is it hard? Is it easy? Is it kind of like up and down, fun, and, stressful at times, being able to do what you love, but also, you got to work your butt off in both, sports and academics?
I think you said it perfectly. It's definitely a mixture of good and bad. Because being a walk-on and playing your sport, you still have the opportunity to play the sport that you love every single day. But you realize, some of the things that you don't have. So when I was at BC, my time at BC, one of the first instances of me really realizing I was a walk-on, because you go into that training camp with the football guys all day long, every day. You just feel all the same. And I went to the library to go get my books for that semester, and I thought, football was gonna, take care of that just because I was on the football team. But then they were like, "Oh no, you're a walk-on. You gotta pay for your books yourself." So just like moments like that really set in, and you realize like you're just a student who gets the opportunity to play this game of football, and there's nothing really to show for it, money-wise or financially. So it's always tough. A lot of the scholarship guys could go out to go eat all the time because any money that they make is just extra money in their pocket. But I couldn't go out to eat all the time. I had to, save that money and pay for books, pay for supplies, all that type of stuff. So little things like that can definitely add up.
Yeah.
And, it's a little bit stressful sometimes. So that's why, I believe it taught me a lot of good lessons, not only for saving and hard work, but just being the person that I am today and never taking anything for granted, because that opportunity can get taken from you at any moment, whether it be school, sports, anything in life. So I'm really just blessed to be in the spot that I am today, and taking full advantage of it.
Yeah. And you are taking full advantage of it, and that led to more opportunities, better opportunities, and here we are now. Is there anything else that you like to say before we end it?
There's not much, but you have a great space, and I really
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
Letting me come into your podcast station, and some good pictures over here, and I
Yeah.
love it. So just keep up the good work, and hopefully we connect during the season. Hopefully we got some good updates,
Oh, yeah.
and see if you get on the sideline for a few games. So that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Thank you so much, Keith, for coming on. Folks, once again, that was Keith Ridley Jr., QB1 of the Southern Connecticut State University Owls, joining us for an exclusive interview. Thank you once again, Keith.